Been a busy time since you became the head coach here, trying to collect guys that were already committed here, trying to find some new guys, scouring the transfer portal. What, as a whole, were you trying to kind of get out of this first group coming in?
Yeah, just like you said, the initial phase, I got hired, and it was that first signing date was approaching quickly. Wanted to make sure that we hit the in-state commitments first, and try to shore up those relationships, gain those relationships, and get them signed and maintain their commitment. And then I thought it was important to go identify and sign a transfer quarterback. I thought we did that. I thought Hudson was the best quarterback in the portal, and so it was good for Graham and I to go out and see him and his family, and ultimately get him enrolled here.
Yeah, Coach, what do you think the strength of the class is?
That's a good question. I think everybody is of the like-minded. We try to identify and sign guys that love football for football, not for Twitter likes or Instagram followers. These guys, they love ball. The guys that we have already enrolled have hit the ground running in workouts, and they're doing overtime, workouts and working on their craft in the indoor, by themselves. So I think we've got the right kind of guys to make up the locker room and maintain and enhance the chemistry there.
Are there any of the incoming freshmen you think that will be capable of playing a significant role or even a minor role in 2023?
I would hope so. I think we'll find out more through spring ball when we get an accurate evaluation. Right now they're just working out. Nobody's put on pads. Nobody's taking a snap. But if they're the type of guys that we want to recruit to this program, hopefully they can help us on Saturdays.
Any sense on what you may be looking for from the portal when that next window opens in May?
That's going through spring ball and getting an accurate evaluation of exactly what the roster is, how they fit with the scheme on both sides of the ball. Was one of the reasons why we wanted to hold some spots to be able to attack the transfer portal once we got an accurate depiction on what our needs are.
What was your guys' message to the guys that were already committed prior to you taking over?
Yeah, we just told them, you fell in love with Purdue for a reason. I know the people in the building changed, and I know that can be difficult. Not that it's good or bad. It's just change is difficult at times. And so I thought, the guys that we had committed also did a good job of giving us a fair chance and getting to the building and getting to know the new staff. And I think that, that excitement led to most of them maintaining their commitment and signing with us.
And as a staff, what was your guys' focus in this 2023 recruiting class?
Like I said earlier, just to make sure we shored up the guys that were already committed, specifically the guys in the state of Indiana, going to get a grad, a transfer portal quarterback, and then trying to get the best available players that were still available, both high school and in the portal, that our staff had prior relationships with, and I thought we were able to do that.
When you were talking to those guys that were previously committed to Purdue before you came in and chose to stay with the program, what seemed to be among them some of the main reasons that they chose to stay with Purdue?
Yeah, every individual is different and had their different reasons. I do think, obviously, this university is world-class in its education. The facilities are first class and compete with any school in the country. And coupled with what I think is the best fan base in the Big Ten, and then obviously getting to know the staff, getting to know me as the head coach and what type of program I want to run, and then getting to know the staff members and their egoless, they're high energetic individuals that know the game of football, and so I think all of those things attracted the guys that were already committed to stay committed.
And then now with signing day over, are you looking forward to the chance to get more acquainted with some of the more people here after the hectic weeks of recruiting and all of that?
Yeah, obviously I'm still, getting to know the guys in the locker room. I try to get down and watch workouts as much as possible. But with the recruiting calendar, we've been out of town. So it is good to be back and grounded, and we got a team meeting on Saturday, and I can't wait. You know what I mean? Like it'll be fun to get to know the guys in the locker room at a more personal level.
Obviously, you spent a lot of time as a coordinator. What's it been like recruiting as a head coach, whether it's in-home visits and all the different layers that go into that part of it?
It's a whole lot easier actually to recruit as a head coach. People pick up the phone more frequently, and it's also easier to sell a young man to come play for you, right? I'm not trying to get them to come to a university to play for somebody else. And so when you can sell that and be yourself, and be genuine and authentic and provide a vision for exactly what you want to do, I think it's just easier, and their response and the reception has been positive among the recruits.
There's different layers of how head coaches get involved in recruitments. What's your personal mentality, or what you sort of picked up on how you want to handle it this past month and a half or so?
Yeah, I mean, I should be the hardest working recruiter in the building. I got to maintain a relationship with everybody on both sides of the ball. At every position, I got to get to know the families want to know who they're sending their son to go play for, and so my involvement is obviously at a higher rate than it was as a coordinator, because I was just focusing on the defense, right? So now that's in its totality. As a head guy, I'm spending more time recruiting for sure.
Gotcha. And then most of the recruits or signees that I've spoken to mentioned how connected and how together this staff is. Is that something? Why was that important to you, I guess?
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
When you before you become a head coach, you have or at least I have had a vision of what I wanted the staff makeup to look like, and it's based off of prior experiences and what I've seen work and what I've seen fail. And the programs that I've been a part of where we had success, we had synergy and chemistry within the staff, because that also breeds into the locker room. And so, it was important for me to hire guys on the defensive side of the ball that know the system, that have been around me and understand the standard defensively with what I want done, but also to get guys on the offensive side of the ball that would have cohesion amongst themselves and amongst the staff in its entirety. And that's been fun for me to sort of take a step back and watch the staff interact with one another, watch the staff recruit with one another. And to see that vision sort of take place has been it's been a blessing.
Recruiting is always about stories and relationships and getting in and having meals or whatever in homes. What was your favorite? You don't have to necessarily say which house you were in, or what was your best recruiting story from this year, maybe the best meal you had, or the funniest thing that happened to you, if there was anything funny on this last few weeks.
Let's see. I think the recruiting experience with George Byrne was a special one. Obviously he had a very tight relationship with the previous staff here, and so to get him to give us a chance to recruit him and get to know his family. His family is dealing with some things right now, and so for them to open up their home to us and get to dive into the real relationships, and then be able to sign him today, just in its entirety, that was a very humbling and gratifying recruiting experience.
Ryan, you mentioned you thought Hudson was the best quarterback in the portal, and getting him early, I think that was the point where Purdue fans said, okay, we're going to be okay, at least at the main position. But what is it about Hudson and his experience at Texas and how he fits what Coach Harrell wants to do with this offense?
Yeah, when you watch the tape, the ball comes out of his hand pretty effortlessly, and it's natural. And he's also a football player. He's not just a quarterback. He's got the ability to extend plays with his legs. He's very calm and collective. He's got great poise, which I think is important at the quarterback position. He's just got a calm confidence about him. Comes from a great family. He's got an older brother that he looks up to that is also athletic and used to kick his butt all the time. So he's got some general toughness there. And then when you turn on the tape and watched him while he was in the game at quarterback at Texas, he had a lot of success. So I think, with what Graham wants to do philosophically, we'll put him in positions to succeed and heighten and emphasize his strengths. Obviously, he's got to go compete and win the job this spring, but we're excited that he's here.
Coach, how often does NIL come up in recruiting?
When does it not come up in recruiting? You know what I mean? Like that is the reality of where we are. It's not something to run away from or be shy about. It's just that it is the status quo now of college football. So I think we've got a good plan in place there that can lead to sustained success. And so I'm excited. I'm not scared of NIL. I think it's some people look at it as a challenge. I look at it as an opportunity.
With the prevalence of the transfer portal, does it change your philosophy on recruiting high school players in that either you might have less space or less need for developmental players?
I think it changes a little bit just depending on what your roster numbers are and where you think you've got viable starters at certain positions within what class those guys are in. So I think you got to have some fluidity there to be flexible and year to year in terms of are you targeting a high school kid or a portal guy.
Yeah, way back here. Coach, what are your expectations for this upcoming recruiting class that you're bringing in?
Just to uphold the standard of and live up to the expectations that we're holding in our program. We are identifying and recruiting guys that we feel can help us compete and win championships, and so that's the expectation for the guys that we're bringing in.
Coach, you guys landed Armon Branch. It was a guy that was largely unknown before you guys offered him. What did you see in him that made you want to have him?
Yeah, so I'm a guy that's really big into the evaluation process. Obviously like the rankings and the who's the stars and all that kind of stuff. It can be attractive, on paper. But I also trust my own eyes and my own evaluation and our staff's evaluation. And so when you turn on his tape, he's a 5'11" athlete, but his arms are like really, really long, hands really, really big. You watch him play basketball, and he's, the other day he scored 37 points, had 5 dunks. And that's incredible for a guy that's 5'11", right? And so you turn on the tape, you see the explosion when he catches the ball, you see the natural ball skills. You call the head coach and you ask him what kind of guy he is. He's only been playing football for 2 years, and he's tough, he's competitive. And so when you see a guy like that, you offer him a scholarship, and then it wasn't a surprise to me that all of a sudden, the recruiting ranking all of a sudden goes up to a 4-star because they watched the tape and they evaluated the tape. So we will always trust our own evaluation when it comes to recruiting.
Speaking of Armon, can you walk through a little bit of the story of from his high school coach being someone that you coached with in Missouri to talking to him even on Instagram, visiting him at high school, like all these steps that you guys went through in this process with him?
Yeah, so like you said, AJ Fadale was in our recruiting department to start at Missouri when I was there. Always was impressed with his evaluation. We were able to sign some guys that might not have had a ton of offers or a bunch of stars, but they got in the program, they developed, and they went on to play in the NFL. And so he's the head coach at Festus now. He reached out when I got the job, and I asked him, point blank, like, do you got anybody that, me, what kind of style defense I like to play, what my goals are. Do you have anybody that could help us? And he's like, man, we do actually. We got an athlete that's long enough, that's tall enough, that's competitive. Hadn't been playing football for very long, but he's got traits and skill sets that I think he'll be able to play on Sundays one day. So when he said that, because like I said, he's been pretty accurate in the times that I've known him, I knew I had to get down there and go see him. And so I went down there, and he was as advertised in terms of his height and his length. Got to know him and his family. So I thought it was a no-brainer in terms of trying to get him to Purdue and thrive in our program.
Gotcha. And then obviously the switch to the defense that you're making, you have guys like Jamarion and Drake and Will coming in. Can you sort of walk us through how you see them fitting in those 3 spots, like wherever they fit in your defense because they're three different kind of bodies.
Yeah, and obviously like we will continue to evaluate and put guys in position. What I'm excited about, Jamarion, everybody calls him Chops. Like he's big, he's athletic, and he's powerful. That's exactly what you need up front. I think Will's got some flexibility in terms of being a stand-up outside guy or putting his hand down. He is physically mature already. He's got a motor. You can tell just by the way he works. Super excited about him. So, as guys get in and we start putting on pads, we'll be able to tell for sure what position they'll play and what kind of position flexibility they'll have.
Gotcha. But going back to George for a second, how much credit do you give to Coach Daggy for all the work that he put in, all the visits and all the stuff that he had?
Yeah, like just kind of going through George's recruitment. For a while there, I was a one-man band, right? So I went to their home, got to meet him and his dad, and then when we started hiring, hired Graham. They came down to campus and visited with Graham. George's dad grilled him, you know what I mean? And but we got him to delay the signing day, and then when we hired Daggy, he really dove into the X's and O's on how we'll use the tight end and what they've done with tight ends in the past. And I think just as he got to know Daggy, got to know Graham, started feeling comfortable with their ability to develop him in order to reach his goals.
On this one, Isaiah Walker, a guy that bounced around two schools, went JUCO. Just what was the process like talking to him about why you guys wanted him here? Coach Maddox, knowing him from Butler, coaching there, what was that whole process like to get him to Purdue?
Yeah, similar situation, just really getting to know the family first, going to visit him in Miami. He's a big, athletic offensive lineman that also has some position flexibility. And I think he's learned from his past experiences, and he's hungry to thrive in an environment like that we can provide at Purdue. And so, I thought Maddox did an unbelievable job of developing a relationship with him and really providing a plan for his development.
Coach, could you talk about how you approach social media as a recruiting tool? Is that something that comes naturally to you? Have you had to make a shift from when you were a defensive coordinator to being a head coach, and how you use it? How do you approach that?
Yeah, it is very different. But I do think that social media can provide recruits a glimpse of what the program is like. So I think it is important to use it the right way and not only promoting the staff and the facilities, but also highlighting the guys in the locker room and giving them avenues and opportunities to promote themselves, because those can also be very, very good recruiting tools. And so we just got to be strategic about what we're putting, like what kind of content we're putting out, and exactly who our target audience is.
Can you talk about the role Sanusi Kane had in Salim's recruitment?
Yeah, it's funny. I was trying to, when I was at Missouri, I was trying to recruit Salim, but obviously, Stanford academically is a lot higher caliber than Mizzou. So he decided to go to Stanford. But I loved him as an athlete then, and that hadn't changed. And so, obviously Sanusi and he are from the same area. They actually work out together all the time when they're back home. So when Sanusi had brought up the fact that he was getting in the portal, and had gotten in the portal, I was like, heck yeah, let's go. His recruiting process has come full circle for me. And so to get him and his family out and see what plan we have for them and then ultimately to get him signed was huge.
This kind of goes off Tim's question. Obviously, you guys are on the front line recruiting, but when guys come in to visit, the guys who are already on the team, what did you make of what they were able to do and how they were able to make the recruits feel to get those guys in here for the future?
Yeah, I thought they did an unbelievable job to a man. We gave them an opportunity to have like a player panel and just talk about how it feels different and what the vision is and how we're able to try to enhance their experience while they're here. And I thought those guys were great ambassadors for our university.
but obviously the focus has been on 2023, and you can't get any specifics next cycle. But how's it been when you've been able to get these juniors on campus, get these guys that you know you're going to have time to build a relationship?
It's been awesome. The state has tremendous 24 talent, and I can't wait for that class.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Appreciate you guys.